What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel, and we're here with part 2 of the steroid tier list. We've got more fighters to accuse of being on steroids. Now of course I am joking for legal purposes in case any fighters think that this is some form of defamation. I am not accusing you of being on steroids. I am just saying that you might be, but I'm not saying you are. So there is no accusations. This is just assumptions. So yeah, nothing is definitive in this video. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into it. First fighter we got in the top tier again is Cannonier. This man is 40 years of age, and he doubled his cardio output in between fights. He fought, I forget who he fought. He fought Izzy, right? He fought Adesanya, looked shit, didn't do anything, and just stayed on the outside and got kicked at range. And then I don't know if he had another fight in between there. Oh, because then he fought Strickland, then he fought Strickland, my bad. And then after that, he comes back, and the Strickland fight was solid. It was a back and forth fight. And he comes back after that, fights Vettori, and just puts like the most output ever, gets rocked in the first round, and then just comes back and just like 50-44s him, like, and just throws like 500 strikes. And this guy's like jacked, and he's throwing that much output. Dude's on something, I think. But let's move on to another fighter. Next up, we got Jeremiah Wells. Now, this guy is shit at fighting, so the roids aren't really doing much, to be honest. But look at this guy's... Take a look at this physique. I'm in phenomenal shape. But look at this guy's build. He's on roids. He's on HGH, for sure. Again, allegedly. But I would suspect he's taken something. He's injecting the muscles. Those are not natural. But he's just not very good, so he needs to get on someone else. But let's move on to another fighter. Next up on the tier list, we've got Belal Muhammad. Remember the name, or remember the steroids. This guy, like, doubled his muscle mass in, like, a year. He went from being shit and getting TKO'd by Luque and looking mid as fuck and making Leon Edwards look like a good, aggressive striker. That he was just a dismal fighter. And then he went on, like, a fucking 10-fight win streak, looks jacked, and then also TKO'd Sean Brady. Maybe that's just because Sean Brady's shit, but I don't know. I feel like this guy's taken something, maybe. I guess it is probably haram, so maybe he's not taking any steroids. Haram behavior, of course. But if he was, would not surprise me. But let's move on to another fighter. Joaquin Buckley. I'm putting this guy in the slightly suspicious tier. Again, he was a middleweight. He was shit. He was awful at middleweight. He was just a victim. He got TKO'd by Chris Curtis, and he just wasn't that good. Apart from the spinning back kick against Impa Kasanganai, he was not a good fighter at middleweight. He got chinned by Holland. He was just a victim of the middleweight division. And then he cuts down to welterweight, and normally when middleweights go to welterweight, they look shit, because welterweights are normally way better. But this guy's undefeated at welterweight, and now he just finished Vicente Luque somehow, and now he's fighting Sultan Ruzabov, who's a middleweight, so maybe he'll beat him. But yeah, he looks way better. He's quicker. He's got cardio. And also his physique does look a little bit suspect. So I would not be surprised if Buckley was on roids. But let's move on to another fighter. So now we've got Steve Erceg fighting this weekend. And I'm putting him in the reverse roids category. This guy looks like he's taking not steroids. Like, if you had to tell me if you had to put $100 on who is not on roids on the UFC roster, I'm putting that money on Steve Erceg. This guy, along with all the fat heavyweights. But this guy just looks not like he's on anything. He's a great fighter, very technical, but there's no excessive muscle there. There's no, like, crazy attributes. He's just a good, solid technical fighter. So yeah, Steve Erceg would be very surprised if this guy was on something. But let's move on to another fighter. Jailton Almeida himself. This guy, even if you took away the physique, just this guy's face looks like he takes steroids. He's got, like, face acne as, like, a 30-year-old man. Like, you're not a teenager, bro. Why do you have acne? Also, yeah, he's got, like, lumps and stuff. Some of it's not even acne. His face looks, like, weirdly, like, deformed in, like, a non-Raul Rosas kind of way, if you know what I'm saying. Everyone knows what I mean. And then this guy's physique, he's ridiculously jacked. This sounds like I'm glazing way too much, but you know what I mean. He looks like he's on sauce, for sure. Let's move on, though, to another fighter. Next up, we got Big Meaty Hooks himself, Josh Emmett. Now, I probably should have put this guy in a higher tier, because I do think he's likely on steroids. The power that this guy possesses is ridiculous. Like, Ilia Topuria KOs guys. He flatlines them. No doubt about it. But Josh Emmett just loads up, swings overhands, and literally sends guys into convulsions. Like, he's stiff, like, he flatline stiffs people. Like, Ilya slumps people to poor, Ilya slumps people, Emmett stiffs them. Like, even Ngannou wasn't, like, stiff KOing guys. And that's what fucking Emmett's doing. I'm not saying Emmett hits harder than Ngannou, for fuck's sake, but it's like something about the way this guy hits you, he makes you go stiff. Like, Johnson thinks he stiffed Lamas, pause, mega pause. And then obviously he stiffed Mitchell, again, pause. But this guy KOs people different. His physique, he's got gyno on both sides. He's rocking the Israel Adesanya, but instead of just one, he's got two boobs. So nuts, absolutely crazy stuff. Massive power, and just, his physique looks ridiculous. And he's like 38 as well. But let's move on to another fighter. Moving on, we've got Mateusz Rebecki. Now, you guys might not know who this is. If you're a casual, you don't know who this guy is. He's fighting next weekend. Keep an eye out. He's fighting on the St. Louis card. He's a great fighter. Phenomenal stuff. He's one of my favorite lightweights outside the rankings. And I'm very high on him to become a ranked fighter pretty soon. But the only bad news there is Lucas Tracy feels the same way, so he's probably going to end up getting, like, brutally chinned and forechecked. But, no, I do think Mateusz Rebecki is a very good fighter, but I do think he's on roids. He's got that... Actually, I'm not going to say I do think he's on, but I think he might be, because he's got that real short man physique. He's got a 68-inch reach. He's built like a fucking dwarf, but his power is cooked, and he's, like, weirdly strong. Like, he's extremely strong. And he just looks so fridge-like, if you know what I mean. It's got that fridge build, the fridge physique. That's what he looks like. It would not surprise me if he was on a little bit of roids. And he pushes a good pace too as well. He was fucking up Loik Radzhabov, and gave him literally no moments. Like, Radzhabov's not an amazing fighter, but he's a guy that edged out a decision over Esteban Ribovic. He's a guy that just beat El Salwadi, who was a hyped-up prospect on the Contender Series. He's a decent fighter, and Rebecki just gave him no moments. So I think he's, one, very skilled, but also, as most fighters probably are, likely on steroids. But let's move on to another fighter. Next up on the tier list, we've got Khalil Rountree. And now, again, this is one I'm thinking about, and now I probably would have put him up higher, but I am going to go with slightly suspicious. If you guys think he's more likely to be on roids than some of the other guys above him, then fair enough. Khalil, I do think he probably does have some decent genetics just hiding behind all the fat that he cried about when he was a kid. But yeah, he's a jacked guy. He's very powerful. He fights aggressively as shit. But he's not phenomenal, and he's not like, apart from just a lot of, like, he's got great power, but his cardio is not, like, amazing. His physique does look kind of steroidish, but I don't know. If he was, wouldn't surprise me. If he wasn't, probably wouldn't surprise me either. But yeah, let's just put him on the list. Let's move on to another fighter. Next up in the reverse roids category, we've got Cory Sandhagen, one of the fan favorites on this channel. Big fan favorite of mine. I'm a big fan of Cory Sandhagen. I would love to see him become champion. And he actually commented on one of my videos. He commented on my autism tier list, where I'm pretty sure I put him like A tier, and he commented agree. So he's a certified Chad of the channel. Cory Sandhagen, absolute G. But this guy, in terms of the physique and in terms of just any sort of attributes he's bringing into the cage, does not look steroidish. Very good, similar to Erceg. Very good, very technical fighter. But just does not look like a guy who would be taking any roids, which is good. And he should be proud of that, because probably a lot of other guys in his division are. And he's probably doing it naturally and still beating a bunch of them. So good job, Cory Sandhagen, assuming you indeed are not on steroids. But let's move on to another fighter. Next up on the tier list, we've got Kayla Harrison. She's a man. She's a male. She's a person of the male gender. Yes, so Kayla Harrison, apart from the fact that she looks like a dude and she's got the physique of a dude, she's also, like, the only female fighter to, like, actually use strength as an attribute. And yeah, she's just smoking. Like, Holly Holm's not awful. Holly Holm's actually a decent fighter. We clown her and she has boring Apex main events. God forbid we get any more of those. But Kayla Harrison rinsed her, smoked her, and gave her no moments. And yeah, look at her physique. Take a look at this physique. But Kayla Harrison, come on. This isn't even like, oh, you're making allegations. Like, bro, she's on steroids. But fair play. If she's not popping, then who cares? You're doing well. you're doing it right. Like, you're not cheating if you don't get caught. So, good job, Kayla Harrison, and I look forward to seeing you become champion and making this division interesting. But let's move on to another fighter. Moving on, we've got Vitor Petrino also fighting this weekend, and unlike his opponent, Anthony Smith, who's all the way down in the reverse roids category, Vitor Petrino does look like he's on a bit of sauce, you know. His name is Vitor, and he's a light heavyweight from Brazil. Sounds familiar. This guy's probably on TRT or HGH or something like that. Let's just look at him and be like, yeah, it is not ridiculous to assume he would be on steroids. But moving on. Next up on the list, we've got Kyla Phillips. Now, this is, you might be confused by this if you don't really know a lot about the sport, but Kayla Phillips has popped for steroids in the past, much like his teammate Sean O'Malley, and I would just suspect him of perhaps being something. His speed is ridiculous. Physique-wise, it's nothing crazy, but he did pop in the past, so it would be remiss of me to not assume he might be taking something still. Let's move on, though, to another fighter. Next up on the list, and we've got Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis, look, maybe I would have him higher up, because to be honest, his cardio for his size is ridiculous. We all thought his cardio was atrocious, but no, he just went 5 hard rounds with Strickland, who's normally known to be the guy to push a pace on people. Maybe Dricus has just always had that cardio, but come on. Nah, bro, it's just the nose surgery. But this guy's jacked, so muscle-wise, physique-wise, could be taking something. And then his cardio with that muscle, similar to Cannonier, I would not be shocked if he was taking some stuff. Like, you can't tell me USADA's traveling down to fucking Johannesburg or whatever, or Pretoria, wherever this guy trains at, and testing him like every fucking 2 months. Like, this guy's getting tested like twice a year probably. Or when he comes to America just for fight week, you can just hop off the source just for fight week or something like that. Like, I don't know. That would be a suspicion of mine, but let's move on to another fighter. Back down to the reverse roids category, and we've got Abus Magomedov. You took your shit on the back of a bus. Well, Abus Magomedov, his cardio is atrocious. There's no other way to say it. So yeah, he's going in the reverse roids category. This guy, if this man's taking steroids, they're reversing the effects. He's like taking like reverse EPO. Like, it's taking away from his cardio. Because, man, this guy needs a better gas tank. He's fighting in a couple weeks, and he's fighting Wally Alves, so I hope he wins. And it'll almost be like a meme in the MMA community, and we'll all almost be happy if Abus wins, because he's kind of been trolled and memed for a while now. His cardio sucks. He's not very good. So yeah, Abus, jump on the roids, mate. Come on, what are you doing? Let's move on, though, to another fighter. We got Moha Usman. Now, this guy's awful, but he literally looks like he's fucking injecting steroids into his face. Like, he's got, like, I swear to God, he's got needle marks on his face. Like, it's weird as shit. His physique is retarded. He looks like he's on roids. He fights like a spastic, respectfully. And yeah, HGH all the way, Moha Usman. It's all athleticism, no skill, respectfully again. This guy's on steroids, but unfortunately for him, they ain't doing much. So you're taking the wrong stuff, bro. Jump off the HGH, maybe jump on the EPO, jump on something else, get some speed going, or maybe just get in the striking room and figure out how to fucking throw a jab as a professional fighter. That could be what the issue is for you. But let's move on to another fighter. Next up, we got Loik Radzhabov. Now, this is kind of weird because he's above Rebecki, who smoked him, but it's not all about skill. Skill-wise, he's not all there, but this guy's physique looks retarded. He's got, like, the traps and the lats on this man are cooked. His back is ridiculous. I think he's probably just injecting some stuff. That's just my suspicion. He's a solid fighter, but more so, yeah, look at this, guys. Take a look at his physique. I'm in phenomenal shape. I can't stop saying that just from kind of whenever he says that. It's funny. But, yeah, Loik Radzhabov, just a suspicion of mine. Not overly. I should have had him lower down. The order I put this in, I was rushing this shit. The order I put it in is kind of dumb, but whatever. Let's move on. Next up, we got Amir Albazi. Now, he's Amir Albazi, so the justification here, if you watch my videos, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to suspect him of being on steroids. But yeah, even his physique, like at flyweight, where most of these guys look like victims, like they are the victim weight division. But Amir Albazi actually is like jacked for flyweight. He's actually got some muscle, and he doesn't look all shrunken. Like, he actually looks filled out at flyweight. He's got pretty good cardio. He's a grappler. And so, yeah, naturally grappler with good cardio that's able to push a high pace that's also pretty jacked. I'm going to just suspect you of being on steroids. Adding on to that, obviously, the geographical location of where this guy's from. But let's move on to another fighter. All right, we got Sean O'Malley next. Now, okay, I'm fully aware this order is retarded, so ignore what I'm saying. I'm not changing what's on the screen because I do the screen stuff first and then I record afterwards because I'm weird, don't judge me, but whatever. Just think about this in your head. I'm changing O'Malley to above Kyler Phillips. What I'm doing instead, I'm swapping, move Albazi, keep Albazi and then swap O'Malley and Radzhabov, actually. Just because O'Malley's speed is ridiculous and he's popped for steroids before. His speed is ridiculous, his power is ridiculous, and he's actually able to hold that pace for ages. And he's also popped before, and he's a UFC champion, so I'm just going to assume they're all on steroids, to be honest. But let's move on to another fighter. Last up in the reverse roids category, we've got Brian Ortega. I'm glad you asked. But, at every point in a man's life, he has to go up into the mountains in isolation and inject steroids, and then he can come back stronger and better, and that's called the regrowth and the rebirth. Brian Ortega, this guy, I'm pretty sure he popped, but the reason he's in this tier is because this guy's physique is terrible. He's got like fucking no muscle insertions on his body. It's weird. Maybe that's just genetics because he's still a great fighter, but just, muscle-wise, if he's injecting anything, I'd be surprised. Maybe, I don't know. He's injecting something, maybe some estrogen. But no, Brian Ortega, the Eagle Maxer himself. I've taken after him recently after injuring my shoulder. I had to go up into the mountains and bang my arm against a rock, and now it's going to grow back stronger. I'm Eagle Maxing Brian Ortega, a true inspiration. Could you tell us another Eagle story? But yeah, that's going to be the tier list, guys. Just a quick one today. It's part 2. If you guys haven't seen part 1, another 20 minutes of waffling there, so go watch me yap for another 20 minutes about men's physiques. Bit sus, I know, but I don't know what to do. I'm trying to think of more content ideas, bro. I'm running low on this shit, I'm running low like a gas meter. Trust. Go in the comments and tell me that I'm copying bedtime for doing an impression. The basis of impressions are you're meant to imitate what the fighter says. So all you fucking little retards in there that go into the comments and say you're trying to be bedtime with these impression, the trust thing, he did not invent that himself. That's why it's an impression. But I'm annoyed because someone did that the other day and it pissed me off for some reason. But see you guys in the next one. Peace out.